And here we are, just like that. I'm here with my good friend and HazMat heresy, Mr. Derek Shaman. I'm Bob Koshignano, for those of you who don't know or care. And welcome
Everyone knows.
and welcome to another episode of HazChat. How you been, pal? It's like I haven't seen
I've been
you
good.
in I don't know, minutes.
Seconds.
For those of you who don't know, Derek and I, our schedules are crazy. So we try to make sure we get the shows up and running in a timely manner. So we have so many conferences coming up and classes and maybe a vacation, for one
Mhm.
or the other of us here and there. So we're knocking out several episodes today just to make sure that we are here for you guys,
Mhm. Whether you like it or not.
whether you like it or not. So without further ado, we're going to be talking about meter blindness and when technology makes us less aware. First,
Mhm.
two things we need from you guys. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And
Mhm.
secondly, take a listen to our wonderful sponsors. Hey, HazChat listeners, looking to boost your skills? Check out respondertraining.com. They've got top-notch responder training and essential tools like their 1-inch propane and CNG flare-off kits, water injection tools, and much more. Train smart, stay safe, and excel in the field. That's respondertraining.com. Enhance your hazmat training with Signal, the most realistic gas detection training on the market. For under $100, you can simulate any detection combination from handheld meters to fixed location monitors, and even confined space scenarios with their universal pump attachment. Signal delivers unlimited range and detector combinations trusted by top teams around the world. Visit signalapp.com or download the app now. Signal, unlimited range, unlimited possibilities. In Our Gear products, built by first responders for first responders. In Our Gear delivers innovative, field-tested tools for every level of hazmat response. The ZMAT card empowers ops-level responders to set the initial tone with quick, easy-to-use hazard identification. The Arc Log line boosts efficiency for technicians in the hot zone, and the WIMS board enhances command competence from behind the steering wheel. Trust in Our Gear, where reliability meets response. InOurGear.net. And we're back. So, as we mentioned today, we're talking about something that makes people a little defensive when we talk about it, and that's air monitoring.
Yeah, the thing that everyone trusts and should trust, but don't put too much trust in.
Exactly that. So, we're discussing meter blindness. And that doesn't mean you can't see, it just means, although I have had colorblind people downrange on colorimetric tubes, but that's a whole other story. Um, But when we're discussing meter blindness, we rely on detection equipment so heavily that we literally stop thinking critically, and it gets into the things that Derek and I use the term, buttonologist, or
Mhm.
people push the easy button, and they get, you know they just get whatever.
Yeah, yeah. It's like the videos you see of people with their face glued to their screen on their phone that walk into water features or step out into traffic, things like that. Like, it's it's not about being anti-technology.
Yeah, and if
Um,
it's not anti, unfortunately, what it is it's anti complacency.
yes,
That's the
yeah.
problem.
Don't get so used to staring at the thing that you forget there's actually an environment and a world around you.
You have to look outside of these things. So zero means safe myth. What do you think? Let's start there.
Um,
Nothing shown.
no, no. Zero means we haven't detected anything yet. No, we've heard it before. I've got zero. I got zero changes.
God, I hate
Um,
that term.
yeah, I'm okay with zero change. What I don't like is hearing I've got zero or I've got nothing.
Right. Nothing means
That
your
bothers
meter's
me.
dead. Yeah,
Yeah.
so zero LEL does not mean zero flammable atmosphere. So let's break this down. If oxygen drops below 10 to 12%. Catalytic bead LEL sensor stop reading correctly. So
Yes.
you have a rich flammable environment, but the LEL reads 0 because oxygen isn't sufficient enough for that sensor.
Yeah. So, I mean, like in those situations, which it can happen, um, the atmosphere is dangerous, but the sensor can't function the way it was designed to function. It's not doing what you would assume. And you have to understand how that sensor works, but also how some products work, because some products don't require the oxygen.
Right. And now let's add stratification to it. Gas migration in a residential structure, made
Hmm.
layer, light gas, near ceiling, heavy vapor near floor, dead air pockets. We've seen this in houses. I don't know how many times in void spaces. If
Hmm.
you're sampling at waist level and nowhere else, you're guessing. And there's a couple videos that little shorts on our YouTube channel where you see Derek actually taking the meter to the ground. Down low doesn't mean knee high. Get your butt
Hmm.
down to the ground and put the meter on the ground.
Yep. And probably one of the most missed void spaces, and it's not a true void space that I've seen on calls, is closets.
Yes.
It's not usually a shared circulating airspace because it's usually closed. But how many people take the time to check in the closet and not just open the door of the closet, reach through the clothing to the back wall of the closet?
Mhm.
Because amazingly enough, those clothes are providing an ability for a barrier to hold back gases.
Yeah, and another thing too, and you got to check void spaces above you, right? These drop ceilings, especially in
Hmm.
restaurants and stuff like that. Please, for the love of God, don't take your meter, put it on a 6 foot, 12 foot hook. For those of you who don't know what a hook is, that's a pike pole, and stick it up in the attic and wait to listen for a beep.
Hmm.
Okay. Get a ladder, set the ladder up, pop the ceiling, and put the meter there so you can see it. Or, better yet, you have this stuff. What's it called, Derek? Tubing. Yeah.
Hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, use a confined space tubing.
Exactly. Everybody forget it's not just for confined space, kiddies. You can use it for these little void spaces because I've heard people tell me they do that, and I cringe when I hear, yeah, we put it on a hook and stick it up in the ceiling. So anyway,
Yeah,
so
yeah. Tape the tubing to the hook and then put that up into the ceiling so that
exactly
your multi-thousand-dollar device isn't at risk of falling 12
right.
feet to the ground and shattering. Worst case, the tubing comes untaped and it falls to the ground and can still be used.
Right, right, right. So let's break down the four gas meter quickly. Oxygen, electrochemical
Hmm.
sensor, CO, electrochemical, H2S, electrochemical, and then we get LEL. We got a catalytic bead or IR. Okay,
Hmm.
each has
Hmm.
vulnerabilities. So the
Hmm.
catalytic bead, I can't talk this morning, requires oxygen, can be poisoned by silicones. Now we've talked about this in our air monitoring class because we've had students come up to us and go, "Hey, this is happening," and we're like, it could be the silicone that's in the boxes. It could be people use silicone spray still inside the
Hmm.
cabs of their apparatus for different things. So yeah, it's just something to keep in mind. And then these things require regular calibration. Some of the air monitoring classes that we do, or the first due classes for the operational responders, I'm seeing meters that in one case hadn't been calibrated in 2 years. And I'm like, dude, like, don't use that right now.
Hmm.
So at any rate, I don't want to go too far down a deep dive, but then you got infrared, which is more stable, not oxygen dependent, right? Still
Hmm.
must be calibrated properly, though. All these things have to be calibrated properly. And then we have our photoionization detector, measures can't talk, ional
Ionizable
compounds,
compounds.
Yeah. Boy, I tell you what, I need more coffee. Uh, doesn't see methane well. Okay, and
Yeah.
is influenced by humidity. So where Derek and I, for instance, and here's a good little tip or trick for you: if you have regular glasses like I wear or your sunglasses, and you get off the rig and they fog up instantaneously, so too could your bulb and your PID. So
Hmm.
that's just a quick little nugget that's for free. That you might have to wait a few minutes and let that moisture burn off.
Hmm. hmm And I'm sure there's someone out there going, "You guys left one out. You left one out." We do have MPS
Yep.
sensors for LEL, and another fantastic tool to have out there. But what it really comes down to: do you know what type of sensor you have, and do you
Exactly.
know its capabilities and limitations? Um, so that's where the question comes up when people say the meter didn't detect anything; it didn't find anything. Well, what was it supposed to detect? What was it looking for? What is its capability and limitation?
Yeah, exactly. Meters detect what they are designed to detect within their parameters. So snapshot versus trend. You're going to get
hmm
this is where professionals and we've talked to a lot of different people that make monitors or whatever, but professional monitor again, I can't talk. What the hell's going on? Professional monitoring separates from casual monitoring.
hmm
Right? So most responders look at one number. They're focused on this, and professionals watch movement. Okay, so the case example, you've got a commercial occupancy initial reading 0% LEL.
hmm
2 minutes later, you're at 2% LEL.
hmm
3 minutes later, you're at 4% LEL.
So
That
we're doing
that's
this.
migration, right? That tells you ventilation is affecting distribution. If
hmm
you only looked at the first reading, you've missed the complete story.
Yeah, it's not an initial. We stuck the meter in there. These are our readings. Let's go in and start working. It's a continuous operation, and that's one that we always reinforce to confined space technicians because it's easy to get focused on something else, but
Mhm.
that's a continuous monitoring environment.
Yeah, it's just not one and done. Exactly. So one of the things too, uh, we're seeing that people, and again, this goes back to one of the classes we do at conferences, clicks versus competence, is people are not getting the information they need to. They're not being properly trained. They're seeing something in a PowerPoint, and somebody's saying, "Hey, look at this." Derek, isn't there something in the meter manuals about you have to read the manual?
Yeah, yeah. It actually states in every manufacturer's user guide that you must read the user guide prior to using the device. Um, there is no carve out. It doesn't say unless you were given information by Bob, who's been on the department for 20 years and knows everything about everything,
Right.
or unless you looked at a PowerPoint and clicked through it. You have to read the actual user guide.
Weird.
And what it comes down to is it comes down to the quality of the information.
Yeah.
The source is going to be the most detailed, specific information. Anything after that is a copy or an interpretation or a retelling. And the further you get from the source, the worse the information gets. It's like making a copy of a copy of a copy of a copy.
Yeah. And so we don't do, and I'm not knocking online training. I'm not, but
Mhm.
there's some things that you have to follow up with hands-on training. Like I can read about hydraulics and pumping a rig, but I need to go out and physically pump the rig. I can read about how I need to do vertical ventilation and how which cuts and this and that, but then I need to follow it up with practical training. So you need to do the same thing with your meter. So let's get into some maintenance truth here real quick. Let's get uncomfortable, as they say. How many departments skip daily bump test? How many people even know what a bump test is?
Mm.
Okay.
Mm. Hit that like button, and that'll help us vote. Hit that like button if you
Yeah.
have skipped um,
Yes.
uh,
Yes. We should do a
daily bump
poll. We're
tests.
going to put a poll in one of these one day. I'll have to remember how to do that. So skip the bump test, forget sensor replacement. So
hmm
there's been sensors that have been taken out and not put back in, or that are at a date, or have had a negative reading and they're just kind of left. Okay.
Oh, we've taught classes where we fire up a meter that's in service on a unit, and there's a sensor that's giving it an out of calibration alarm. And
Yeah.
prior to it getting to that point, the person bringing us the device tell us, "Oh yeah, by the way, the blah 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 sensor's out of date." Okay, well, why is this unit still in service?
Right.
And I get it. I was the meter maintenance guy for years, and I understand budgets and all those things, but it starts to raise the question of once you have one sensor in there that's not validating, is your device as a whole validating? I would rather remove that sensor and keep that device in service without it than
Right.
have that sensor in the device showing that it's not properly calibrated and functioning properly.
Yeah, and I too understand the thing about cost for this stuff. And simply put, there's a cost of doing business. And
Mhm.
if you're not willing to put up the money to keep the equipment going, to keep your people safe, then that equipment should be taken off the rig. Don't
Mhm.
let them go around with equipment that is out of date, whatever the case may be. So, I think I've beat that enough. But here's another one: store meters in apparatus bays exposed to temperature extremes. So we don't have anything here that's really hot. And oh wait, yeah, we do. We're in the sunshine state, and it's mostly sunshiny, but we get fluctuations. I mean, today during this recording, this morning we were at 32 degrees. This afternoon we're going to be at 70 degrees. So that's a huge fluctuation, and where you keep those meters, that can affect how they react. Are you keeping
Mhm.
them in a and here's something else. Are you keeping them in a controlled environment that's in the AC, and then you're taking it immediately out into the heat area? Now, is that meter going to really work properly or not? Right?
Mhm.
And another one that this really I hate is when you're ignoring the calibration logs. So what we did on Hazmat One is we had at the time we had one person on it, and they would go around to these stations that had meters and would look to see, because there's a way to get in the menu and see when these things were turned on and if they've been properly calibrated, fresh air calibrated, the whole 9 yards. And we could tell who was lying to us and who wasn't. So, uh, but if you can't verify the performance, really you're just trusting hope.
Yeah, and hope is not a strategy. It is not a tactic.
It's not. That's
No,
not. Oh,
no,
well, weird. So
no. Hope,
no
hope is
verification
the thing
hits.
that you do when you've given up, and you're just going to say, "I hope that this works out." No,
I'm
I'm going to actively make sure that this works out.
Yeah, exactly. We don't hope. Yeah, that's crazy. But so when your brain disagrees with the meter, and listen, this has gotten me too.
Yeah, so let's go with one here. So you go into a warehouse and you've got a strong solvent smell that's been relayed. It was either told to you by the first in crews that didn't know they were coming to a hazmat call, or even occupants on scene, whatever. You go in and your PID is giving you low readings.
Right.
What do you do?
Well, so first the question, the sampling location. Okay, where am I sampling
Hmm.
at? That should be one of the first things. And then second, I'm going to confirm my calibration. So by
Hmm.
turning the meter on, and this is something else Derek and I talk about in our classes, take those clips off your meters, because you will be more apt to clip it on your air pack or clip it somewhere and not actually looking at the numbers. And that's what we need to do. So
Hmm.
when we turn it on, we're confirming our calibration. It's going through its startup. We're doing our fresh air setup and the whole 9 yards. And then the third thing we're gonna do is check our sampling height. Like we just got through talking about. Are we going to be able to reach the spots that we need to, or do we need to bring in other tools to help us in that process? Fourth,
Hmm.
we're gonna want to reassess ventilation. So, like, is ventilation already going on, or as my sensors are changing, maybe now we're starting ventilation. There's a lot of these things come into play. And then fifth, consider whether the product is outside the PID lamp, its ionization potential. So we're looking at these five things simultaneously within the first, what, Derek, minute and a half of getting unseen.
Yeah, yeah. The Once we're gathering information, we know we should be able to narrow it down, and we should be able to answer all these questions. And are we sampling at the right height? Is this something that our PID can even see? Is my multi-gas good here? Should the
Right.
multi-gas come in, or do I need to switch to a standalone PID? It's it's about investigation, not just accepting that this is how it's going to be.
Exactly. Exactly. Meter support decision making. They don't replace it.
Yeah.
So technology. This is kind of a quick episode, but technology has made hazmat safer than it was 30 years ago. But technology without understanding creates false confidence. If you don't understand it, sensor science, environmental effects, calibration culture, trend interpretation, all these things wrap together, and you got to understand how they all work. You can't just pick and choose. It's like we talk about PPE. It's an ensemble, right? You put
Yeah.
all these pieces together.
Yeah, and the drastic expansion of technology that Bob and I have seen in our time, our almost each of us has almost 3 decades. Bob's got a little bit more. I'm coming up on 26 years of doing this. It's a huge lift from what we started with. We
Oh
started
God,
with
yeah.
very basic multi-gas equipment, PID, color metrics, and all this technology has come about, and it's fantastic. The real question we have to ask, are we dedicating the amount of time to training with the amount of increased learning that needs to occur for these devices to be used? If you don't know how to use the tools, they own you. You become the tool.
Oh yeah.
Because you're going to have a problem. We're going to be diagnosing and determining the call based off of your symptoms.
Right.
So you got to train. You got to. What we did for training 20, 25 years ago is not sufficient.
Nope.
For the amount of technology and amount of competence that we need to have today.
You've got equipment out there that, unfortunately, some salespeople are push the easy button. Hey, all you got to do is turn it on, push this button that tells you what you want. And some of that is good to an extent, but you have to remember your basics. How did you get to this point? Just don't pull the high end, widget tool off and go, okay, this is going to tell me everything, because it may not. There's a systematic process to how we do air monitoring that involves papers, that involves colorimetric tubes, that involves basic air monitoring strategy and tactics. Oh, that sounds familiar.
Yeah.
so, so take the time, learn your craft. Even if you're on a jump over unit, meaning you're on an engine truck and a hazmat call comes in, you jump over. That does not negate you. You still have to do your job and learn these tools, because there's stuff that comes out every day that Derek and I are like, wow, wish we had that 30 years ago.
Yeah. Wish I had time to learn all that.
Yeah, right. No kidding. All right. So before we go, again, here's our social media sites. You can follow us on Facebook. This podcast is on all the platforms. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, especially on our YouTube channel. If you're listening to us, I encourage you to go to the YouTube channel, because there are episodes where we do have pictures and video, because we know firemen like that. But we talk about different incidents that have happened. So those are good visuals. And then, as I've mentioned the last show, the book is doing good. It's still pumping along. If you're interested, go to the HazMat 101 Consultants website shop section and pick out the goodies that you'd like. And then lastly, we have some websites, all these different social media sites that you see here, and those that are listening. And HazMat Guys Roundtable, first Tuesday of every month, 8 p.m. Eastern. Myself, Bobby Salvesen, Mike Monaco, Jeff Zientek, Ben Horowitz do a live show where you can make fun of us or whatever. HazMat Group 2, Common Sense HazMat, and HazMat Group are all great places to learn information. Get out there and learn your craft. People have asked questions. There's no dumb question. We are not subject matter experts. I hate that term. Derek and I still sit in on classes wherever we go, because what? Because why, Derek?
Because when you're through learning,
you're through.
You're through.
Stay safe.